Are you stuck right now? Are you in a job that's not right for you? A relationship that you shouldn't be in? Do you keep doing things you want to stop doing? Do you stop doing things that you want to keep doing? Do you feel frustrated, blocked, locked in, trapped? Do you feel like you don't have a way out? In this video, we will explore the three-part pattern that keeps people stuck. More importantly, we will explore the ways you can break that pattern and start moving forward with your life. This channel was inspired by Carl Jung's observation that all neurosis is the avoidance of necessary suffering, that the psychological ailments that torment us come from our refusal to engage in the required but painful process of growth toward our potential. To apply his observation to this topic, we could say, all stuckness is the avoidance of necessary suffering. Here's the pattern that keeps you stuck. It includes a thought, a feeling, and a decision. Thought. You imagine the action you need to take. Feeling. You feel fear. Decision. You decide to avoid that action. Each piece of that pattern can be broken, leading to a different outcome. Let's start with the simplest piece first, the decision. If you simply decide to take the needed action, no matter what it is or how scary it is, you will get unstuck. That is undeniably true. But as simple as that solution is, hearing it is not very helpful for most people. Because unfortunately, simple is not the same thing as easy. If it were easy to just think of what needs to be done and instantly, as Nike says, just do it, then nobody would ever be stuck or click on videos like these. For most of humanity, that kind of automatic execution is an aspiration, not a current reality. It's something we have to work toward. The reason why it is so difficult is because of the second piece of the pattern, the emotion of fear. Fear has the power to make any action, no matter how small, impossible to execute. An example. Imagine a wooden board on the ground in front of you, 10 feet long, 6 inches wide. If that board were here now, you'd walk right across it without hesitation, right? Now imagine raising that board 500 feet into the air with no net beneath it. Would you walk it now? Probably not. It's the same size and shape as it was before, but now you feel fear. So you won't walk across it, no matter how hard you push yourself to take action. What that means is that any effort to get yourself unstuck will need to deal directly with fear. Let's grossly oversimplify the complex human psyche just for a second to make a point. Ready? For most people, every problem they have is really fear. Fear about something happening now, a reaction to fear they felt in the past, or fear about something they imagine will happen in the future. Think about it. Every word for psychological problems can be defined in a way that centers on feeling fear. Anxiety is really just another word for fear. So is stress, and worry, and panic. Procrastination is a response to fear of failure and exposure. Our trauma is a reaction to fear we once felt while being hurt. The rage we feel is fueled by fear of being hurt. Depression is a way to disconnect from feeling unbearable fear. Maladaptive life strategies, like addiction, codependency, and avoidance, are held on to long past their usefulness because they once protected us from fear. To make the point even stronger, in the same way that practically every psychological problem means feeling fear, practically every description of psychological health centers on not feeling fear. When someone says they feel calm, confident, serene, satisfied, or just plain happy, they are saying that they are not currently experiencing fear. So what's the point of this oversimplification? The point is that when you develop a technique to reduce, manage, and push through your fear, you will be forever freed from your stuckness, and probably a great many of your other psychological complaints as well. That's good news, right? The even better news is that healers, sages, and scientists have attacked this problem from thousands of directions for thousands of years. So practically every therapeutic, psychological, and spiritual practice developed to help people feel better is also a practice to help people feel less fear. There are literally thousands of techniques for fear reduction and management. So we can't go into them all here. But looking for practices in the categories of body, mind, spirit, and community is a good place to start. Here's just a handful of examples of what that could look like. Body. A base-level feeling of anxiety, unease, and stress in your body gives your fear fuel to flare up. Reducing physical unease and stress takes that fuel away. Things to try. Anti-anxiety medication, if doctor recommended. Reducing body tension through proper exercise, stretching, diet, massage, breathing. Polyvagal theory practices that reset your body's reaction to the world. Mind. You can consciously alter your perceptions, beliefs, and framing to reduce your fear. This deliberate change can be sped up through therapy of all kinds, including cognitive behavioral therapy, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and internal family systems therapy. Spirit. There is no denying that having a connection with something above the here and now of the world reduces fear. Some ways to begin building that connection include prayer and meditation, traditional and exotic religious practices, or philosophical traditions like Stoicism. Community. People are more fearful when they feel alone and isolated. People are less fearful when they have a network of people that supports them. You can build your social network when you do something like join a church, join a support group, or work with even a single action or accountability partner who supports your goals. Again, the specifics of what you choose to do aren't really the point. The exact techniques you use will depend on your circumstances, resources, and personal preferences. The point is that you deliberately and consciously reduce the fear you feel. Lastly, let's take a look at the first piece of the pattern and see how we can do it differently. That first piece is thought. You imagine the action you need to take. For many people, especially those prone to perfectionism, when they imagine the action they need to take, they tend to go very big and very ideal. In other words, they picture the outcome that they want in a perfect, completed state. And then they imagine all the different actions required to attain that perfect, completed outcome. Often, that means having to do a lot of steps, many of which the person may not even have the knowledge or resources to do at the moment. Under that circumstance, it is very reasonable to feel anxiety and fear, and equally reasonable to decide to avoid or delay starting those actions. That's not cowardice, that's common sense. If someone knows that the thing they are contemplating doing is literally impossible for them right now, the logical decision is not to do it. Unfortunately, logically stuck is still stuck. So, to get unstuck, you need to think of the action in a different way, a way that triggers less fear. Here are 2 tools to help you do that. Tool 1. The next right thing. This comes from the recovery world. Newly sober people are often overwhelmed by the number and size of the actions they need to take to build a sober life. To reduce their anxiety and fear, they are counseled by more experienced people to simply focus on doing the next right thing. If, for example, the end goal is get a better job, the next right thing might be to revise a resume. Once that has been done, the next right thing might be to create a job board account or write a list of people you know in that field. The idea is that by breaking the big task into a series of small, achievable tasks, we can start moving forward and building momentum that carries us to our goal. Try the same thing for the actions you are imagining. Forget about completing the task or doing the thing that you don't even know how to do yet. Do the next right thing, then move on to the next right thing after that. Tool 2. Just good enough. If you are afraid of falling short of the perfection you aim for, stop aiming for perfection. Right now, you are stuck. Your first priority is action. Set your standard for just good enough. Not bad, not half-assed, but not ideal either. If the idea of putting work out in the world that doesn't meet your standards makes you nervous, it's worth reminding you that nobody else can see your standards. Often, when we put something into the world, we compare it to the vision we had, and we notice all the ways that the reality falls short of our ideal vision. So we think it's not very good. But here's the thing. The rest of the world does not make that comparison because they never saw the ideal vision in our mind. They just see the thing itself out in the world, and more often than not, they think it's pretty good. So, to wrap it up, here's the pattern that keeps you stuck. You imagine an ideal outcome requiring many challenging actions, all perfectly executed. You feel an overwhelming fear, so you decide to avoid or at least delay moving forward. And here's how you break that pattern. You imagine doing the next right thing that's just good enough. You reduce your fear through deliberate physical, mental, spiritual, and social practices. To go back to our earlier metaphor, doing these things lowers that board in the air. Lastly, you decide to take that first step, no matter what. Even if you are still feeling some fear. Even if the board isn't all the way down to the ground. Because no matter how hard you try, you will never completely eliminate fear. Anytime you try something new, get out of your comfort zone and expose yourself to risk. In other words, get yourself unstuck. There will be some pain. That pain is the necessary suffering you have to stop avoiding.